If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? Hey, CEO Mischief Makers. I cannot wait to introduce you. You may have already seen this incredible lady and her incredible products and concepts. And well, we're just going to talk about it. Stacey Brown Randall, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much, MK, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So I know you and I have known each other. You were on another podcast I had many years ago. We kind of just went our separate ways, did our separate things, had fun. And you're back in my life because we're both in a mastermind, and also we've reconnected. And I know I'm going to be able to bring some wonderful people to your system, which I cannot wait to talk about. But let's start with mindset. First off, tell everyone kind of who you are, what you do, and give us the lowdown on Stacey and what you get to do every day.
Yes. So, I mean, we'll start with the important stuff and then, get it out of the way. Obviously, I am a married mother of 3 children who every day I love. Not all days do I like them as much, but yeah, I've got teenagers. So I've got 2 boys in 9th grade and then a daughter in drama middle school. So that's the important stuff. But I help small business owners realize that it is possible to generate referrals naturally without manipulating, without incentivizing, and without even asking for them. So I get to spend my days showing business owners that it is possible to get those referrals they want by doing some of the strategies that I teach and working with them and helping them. And it's awesome because I get to see their success happen and then I get to take credit for it. Or actually, let's be honest, they take credit for it because they do the work, but I definitely share in their glory. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I have to ask you before I go further with mindset. I'm so curious. Do people in your circle, like let's say we were in a mastermind together and we were just at an event in Nashville together. Do people in your circle kind of still try and ask you for referrals or ask you, if there's someone who might need their services or things like that? Or are they too afraid to do it? Because you talk about referrals naturally, which means not asking for them, but we'll get into this on Friday, but really more, coaching people along because you care about them. That's one of the things. But do people still ask you?
Okay, so I have 2 favorite things that happen, and it always makes me giggle. Sometimes people will ask me for referrals, and I am legit like, you did not read anything about me. Like, you don't know anything about me. Or like they'll somehow get on their email list, and then I'll get these emails or they're like their newsletters, and then this blatant ask for referrals. I'm like, oh my God, you're killing me. So that will sometimes happen. And then the other one, which I find even more fascinating, which just is a constant reminder to me that even though my strategies work and even though they are simple to understand, there's a huge mindset gap for people to get over before they can truly believe it. I will have people who will have conversations with me, sometimes like 15, 20, 30-minute conversations about referrals and how you shouldn't ask. And then at the end, they'll be like, so at what point do you teach me how to ask? And I'm like, at no point do I teach you how to ask. And they're like, really? I'm like, I know what I'm fighting against. I'm fighting against decades of other experts and gurus teaching referrals and teaching asking. But the truth is it's something I'm not going to teach you.
That's wonderful. I had a feeling that was the case because new concepts like this, and even though it's not new in the sense that many of the things that you talk about are just common sense, normal, kind human things, right?
Be a good human. Yes.
But
So many of them are not new in the realm of business. So we get into business and it's like we throw out all that normal, good human stuff. And not we, you and I, but most people, right? Especially in corporate world. Oh my goodness, how crazy it is. When I first started as an entrepreneur back in 2003, I was trying to figure it all out. I had no clue. There was no WordPress. There was no, Stripe. There was no Square. There was no Shopify, I mean, all this kind of stuff. So I'm just asking, I'm calling up businesses. And especially because I was trying to make t-shirts. I'm calling up t-shirt businesses going, gosh, so where do you find manufacturers? I have no clue. They would hang up on me. They would not want to even share. They would not want to talk. They wouldn't share any of their quote, secret sauce. It's not secret. Everybody who does a t-shirt business does it one of, like, at that time, two ways.
Right.
That's all they had to do was tell me. And finally I found some people who were kind and helpful, and I gave them as much of my business as I possibly could because they were kind and helpful. It's crazy. So, all right. So let's talk about that mindset gap. Tell me a little bit more just about your own journey. What mindset shifts did you have to make in the beginning? Not just for this only, if you want to go that way, that's awesome. But really the mindset shifts you had to make to successfully do something different than everybody was telling you to do.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know how well I would have made the transition or the shift to what I teach today if my journey wasn't my journey. Like, I don't know if I would have stumbled upon and decided that I can do this differently if I hadn't had to do like some of the work in terms of mindset, just along the way of learning how to be a business owner. So some people probably most people who are listening to this wouldn't know that I actually had to overcome a business failure. So I owned a consulting firm for 4 years. It did not quite make it to the 5-year mark before it ultimately failed. And I have found myself back in corporate America, having to get a job, which is not fun once you've been an entrepreneur and had tasted freedom. However you define that freedom, it's just better than, politics and favoritism and navigating human dynamics inside the workplace. And so I found myself back at a job, and I was like, I got to figure out how to get out of here, and I got to figure out what I'm going to do next and how I'm going to make it successful, so I don't have to deal with the ego blow and all the other things that go along with a business failure. And so for me, it was like, okay, I grew my first business because it was successful for a period of time. It just wasn't successful like from a longevity or sustainability kind of perspective. But I did have clients, but I got them all through networking, like all the time networking. It's like being at all the places at all the times. Everyone's like, oh, you're at the right time at the right place. I'm like, no, that actually just means you're at all the places all the time for the right thing to actually happen. And with 3 children who back then were super tiny, and actually there was only 2 of them at that time, it's a hard way to grow a business. And I never learned how to do anything different than just the constant networking and the constant 7 million cups of coffee. And when I started my second business, while in corporate America, I got certified as a productivity and business coach. When I started my second business, I was like, okay, I'll do the networking thing because I know that's how I can get started, but that can't be what I'm still doing when year 2, 3, and 4 roll around, because it's like the same death sentence march I'll be making all over again that I had with the first business. And so I was like, how else can I grow this business? And I didn't have a budget, right? So there wasn't going to be any advertising. I wasn't going to hire a PR firm. I wasn't going to do Facebook ads. I mean, none of that was actually going to happen. And so I was like, wait, referrals. Yeah, I'm going to get some of those. Oh, I'm probably good at that because I did good work. My clients loved me. Even though my first business failed, they loved me. I'm like, I probably got referrals. And then I looked and I was like, no, didn't get any referrals. There were none to be had in that first business. So then I, like everybody else, I went to Google and I was like, okay, so how do I get referrals? And I just hated all the advice that was given to me. It was not who I was as a person. It wasn't how I wanted to respond. It wasn't how I wanted to show up. It wasn't how I wanted to nurture relationships. I didn't want to be the person you ran away from at a networking event because, oh God, here comes Stacey. She's always asking. I didn't want to be that person. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it different. And I didn't set out with like, okay, I'm going to do it different. And I have a strategy of what that's going to look like. I was literally throwing spaghetti on the wall and just being like, let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. And I did get a number of my first clients because of my network, because I did the 7 million cups of coffee. And in the beginning, the first 4 months, I was meeting with people and I was letting people know that, yep, I've left corporate America. I'm back out on my own. This is what I'm doing. And I guess I took the right meetings with the right people in the beginning and got a handful of clients. But I'll never forget when one of my first coaching clients gave me a referral to somebody who would become another coaching client of mine. And I just started paying attention to what was I doing and the things that I was trying. And I was all about testing and experimenting, but it was all out of sheer necessity. Like it was like, do it because it's got to work, because we're not going back to corporate America if we can help it. And it's a strategy and a system evolved. And when people ask you to then teach it to them, then you're forced to come up with what that strategy and system looked like.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And I was like, okay. And then eventually, made the pivot. And now this is all I do is teach people the referral strategy. But it was really out of sheer necessity and not allowing myself to be back in that place of having another business failure. Being a card carrying member one time is enough. I don't need a repeat card.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we don't want to belong to that club for too long. We want to, kind of try and exit that club and enter a different club, like the Success Club, as quickly as we can. Okay, but that's mindset. So let's go back to that mindset shift, because it was of course, out of necessity, because yes, you wanted the freedom again, especially with children, young children. That's the number one thing that made me become an entrepreneur. It's just, you want to be home and participating and doing the things, and flexibility to be able to participate in whatever you want to participate on, whether it's all day, every day, or certain things or whatever, it doesn't matter. You want that flexibility. So I understand the purpose of really focusing on making this next business successful. But what was the mindset shift you had to make really to go, all right, the first business didn't give me any referrals, so I search Google and this is what Google tells me, but I'm gonna try something different because I think it's icky. How did you manifest that, the things that you wanted to try and the spaghetti you threw at the wall? How did you figure them out and allow yourself to experiment in those things?
So I don't think I was very intentional, to be honest, in that first year. I think it was a matter of throwing spaghetti on the wall and just trying to get clients. It wasn't until that first year was over that I looked back. I'm a big believer in like reflecting back and like looking back as to like what you accomplished in that year. And I remember starting to teach towards the end of my first year. I remember starting to teach people my referral strategy, and people asking me like, well, what success have you had? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I need to go see if I've been successful, even though I know I've been successful because I know I'm getting referrals, but I track this stuff, right? I mean, I think data is super, super important. And so I went back and I looked, and it wasn't until like the first year was like over. I was well into the second year, and I looked back and I was like, oh my God, look at that. I got 112 referrals. Like I didn't even know at the end of the first year that that's what I had accomplished. I'd gotten 112 referrals. That I didn't ask for. And I'm gonna be really honest, because I think that people need to understand that sometimes like you're headed in a path and like God directs you down a path and you don't really know why you're headed on that path. And you don't really like in the moment, you're not really quite sure why you were having some of the success you were having. Like I started this back in 2013. So, we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. And I started this back in 2013. It wasn't till like a couple of years later to where it hit me that, yes, I'm in the referral space. I'm teaching people how to get referrals. Oh, but guess what makes me different? That I'm doing it without asking and without all the other ways people don't want to do it. That wasn't even a part of my marketing for like 3 years. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's how I'm doing it. Like I'd be talking to my clients about it, and the strategy was built around that. But I do think one other important lesson that I learned with my business failure that I kind of carried forward with me into my second business is the protecting of my mindset. There's a lot of reasons why my first business failed, and I can't blame it on any one particular thing. Obviously, business development and figuring that piece out was definitely a big part of it. You can't scale when you're drowning. And I spent 4 years drowning basically. And I didn't protect my mindset. So I would have people say things to me like, oh, your business is like a lifestyle business, and not in the way like you sit on the beach and have all this passive income coming in, but like, oh, it's a lifestyle business because you've got kids. And like, when you buy into that mindset, like, oh yeah. That's my business. Not because it's supposed to win awards or make me a bunch of money, but because it's a lifestyle business. Well, it's really easy to then like 2:00 in the afternoon, find yourself doing laundry because I'm building a lifestyle business. And that wasn't what I was actually trying to do, but it was the message that I allowed myself to start to believe and then act from that belief, right? And so, of course, that business was never going to survive. And so when I started this business and it was like, just try things, that was kind of always in the back of my head is like, I'm going to try things because I need to try things, not because I'm really worried about what other people are going to think or what they're going to believe about me. I need to be successful because I don't want to go back and put on a suit and heels every day. And I need that to be different for my life. But it wasn't like I set out with some grand master plan. I'm going to do this and all these things are going to align. It was like, hey, look, this happened. And now I'm going to build a business around it. Like I was a great productivity coach. I probably could have done that forever. But I was like, oh, look, to grow the productivity and business coaching practice, I created a referral strategy. And now that's the thing the market's telling me that they want. So here, shift, pivot, off to the races we go.
And I love how, thank you for that, because I love how you showed the difference between a quote lifestyle business and so many. It's not like I hate the term mompreneur. I don't hate it, but so many people really lump that into, oh, you're a mompreneur. You're just a mom who's dabbling in business. Right. Do you know how many quote mompreneurs are multimillionaires? They're not just dabbling in business. They happen to be a mom and an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean that they're trying to build a lifestyle business just to kind of hang out at home and do laundry whenever they want.
They're someone's doing their laundry, right? If you're doing it right, someone's doing your laundry.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the first time I knew I was successful. I hired someone else to do the things that I would normally have to do during the day. That's like, okay, I'm not only am I making enough money, but I have a mindset that I can let go of that because this is now a business. This is now very important to me. And I'm doing this beyond just making a little extra money to be able to go to the movies every week. Right.
Right.
It is an actual business where I'm actually trying to support my family with it. And there's a definite mindset shift with that. How did you mentioned that? How did you make that shift? Was it corporate America that basically said, I ain't going back there, so I better figure this out?
Yeah. So when I left that job, I started my coaching practice. And when I left that job, there was a nameplate outside my door, Stacey Brown Randall, Chief Talent Officer, or maybe actually just said Stacey Randall. I don't even know, whatever it was. But I asked if I could have it when I was leaving. And the office manager thought I was bonkers crazy. She was like, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, can I have the nameplate? Like, you're just going to slide it out and put it in the trash can. Can I just slide it out and take it with me? And she literally was like, I mean, I guess. And I was like, thanks. And then I literally put it above like a door jamb in my office so that when I looked up, I would see it. And it was just kind of like this constant drumbeat of a reminder, like, this is where I don't want to go back to. This is what I don't want to do. So when things got hard, when things got complicated, when things got what they felt like they were bigger than me, right? It's like, I would just look up and be like, yep, got to do it. Suck it up, Stacey, figure out the technology, like make the dots connect. Like it was a matter of like just helping me through. It also helped that I felt really confident in what I was doing. Like I felt like I had finally found my sweet spot. But it's funny, like I talk to my business friends today and I talk about like the decisions I'm trying to make. And one of them recently, like I got off the phone and I had this whole big conversation about this huge decision I'm trying to make. It was this big negotiation. And we hung up. And then like a day later, she called me back. She's like, do you remember when we used to get on the phone and we used to have like really stressful conversations about making $1,000 investment in our business? And now you're talking about making like multi-$1,000, like doing these big, hard negotiations. She's like, do you remember back when? I was like, oh yeah, let's focus like on that Dan Sullivan thing. Let's focus on the gain, not necessarily the gap all the time.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit CEOmischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.